Good afternoon, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Chairman, do we have any public comment?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let's see. On agenda item 3, we have no cases to reconsider.
That's correct. No cases.
All right. On agenda item 4, tax liability cases, we have 2 cases on docket 13, and I think 2 cases on docket 14.
Yes, that is correct. For the record, Hugh Daniel, Special Program Appeals. There are 2 tax liability cases on docket 13 and 2 tax liability cases on docket 14. The first case on docket 13 is TD-23-036-1223. Commissioner Esparza.
Agree with the recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino.
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendations.
Thank you. The second case on docket 13 is TD-23-039-0823. Commissioner Esparza.
Agree with staff recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino.
Agree with staff recommendation.
And Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Thank you. The first case on docket 14 is TD-23-031-1023. Commissioner Esparza.
Agree with staff recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino.
Agree with staff recommendation.
And Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
The last case, the second case on docket 14 is TD-23-032-1023. Commissioner Esparza.
Agree with the recommendation.
Commissioner Trevino.
Agree with staff's recommendation.
And Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Thank you all. That concludes the tax liability cases on docket 13 and 14.
All right, there's no fair housing cases on agenda item 5. There's no child labor cases on agenda item 6. Under agenda item 7, we have no wage claim cases on dockets 13 or 14 pulled for additional discussion.
That is correct. None pulled for additional discussion, but you should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for dockets 13 and 14.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on dockets 13 and 14.
I second the motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on a wage claim short form dissent list for docket 13 and 14.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting is reflected in the wage claim short form dissent lists for dockets 13 and 14.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
Let's move then to agenda item 8, consideration of unemployment insurance cases. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 255-3586, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be modified. I don't contest the good cause issues. As to the underlying job separation, the employer provided 3 statements from individuals who said they saw the claimant take product from the store without paying for it. Fact-finding statement reveals that the claimant was fired for stealing. Although the claimant denied stealing the fact-finding statement, the statement was not taken under oath and not subjected to cross-examination. As such, it should be weighed the same as any individual employer witness statement. Accordingly, since there are more employer witness statements than claimant denials, misconduct has been established by preponderance of the evidence. We should therefore modify the AT decision. The employer did not have good cause for its non-appearances misconduct.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Regarding the employer's failure to appear at the AT2 hearing, the employer received the hearing notice for the AT2 prior to the hearing, but did not register for the hearing because the employer misread the hearing notice. The employer failed to establish that they were prevented from participating in the hearing by circumstances beyond their control, or that they had good cause for their failure to appear at AT2. Regarding the job separation, the claimant denied the allegations of misconduct in her statements to the commission, and the employer provided inconsistent evidence regarding the reason for the separation and failed to establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct. Affirmed the AT, employer did not have good cause for AT2 or AT1, no misconduct.
Employer did not establish good cause for AT2 or AT1, no misconduct.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Case number 316-1498, Commissioner Esparza.
The commission should rehear this case. The claimant was terminated when he recorded a video of a co-worker dancing during work hours. Although the claimant denied his actions, the employer in their appeal to the commission specified that they had a copy of the video available for review. Since reviewing and questioning the parties about the additional evidence is critical to understand the nature of the job separation, we should rehear this case to admit and question the parties about the employer's additional evidence. Rehear.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant was discharged for allegedly dancing at the work site. The claimant denied the allegations that he was dancing instead of working under oath, while the employer only presented secondhand hearsay evidence. The employer failed to meet its burden of proving that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, void chargeback.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3458486, Commissioner Trevino.
There has been no work separation from the named employer. The claimant's separation determination should be voided. The claimant used the named employer's marketplace platform to accept services requests from the public through its digital network. The claimant's acceptance of service requests through the digital marketplace and the services she performed for the public constituted self-employment. The claimant never performed services for the employer, and there is no work separation from this employer. Since the work separation determination should be voided, the resulting overpayment determination should also be voided. Set aside the AT decision, void separation, and overpayment determinations.
We should affirm the AT decision. Although the claimant was required to provide her own transportation for work, the claimant quit when she damaged her car and was unavailable for further work. Since the claimant's separation resulted from personal reasons when she failed to maintain an effective form of transportation, her separation was voluntary and without work-connected good cause. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving overpaying.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim, void the overpayment. Memo to investigate availability due to transportation issues.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. And we will send that memo.
Case number 3505044, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. First, I don't dispute the good cause finding. Concerning the job separation, the employer's client maintained a zero tolerance drug and alcohol policy. The claimant was terminated when he tested above the threshold for opioids. Although the claimant initially informed the employer that the result was due to consuming his spouse's prescription medication, the claimant later changed his story and stated that he had consumed his own expired medication, which led to the positive test result. Since the claimant's initial statement, taken closer in time to the time of the discharge, should be given more weight than his later contradicting testimony, the commission should find the claimant's unauthorized use of opioids in violation of the employer's zero tolerance policy, that it was mismanagement of his position of employment. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT1 hearing, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
The decision should be modified. The claimant established good cause for missing AT1 because he was working in a new job at the time of the hearing. As to the work separation, the employer discharged the claimant for allegedly violating its zero tolerance drug policy. However, the drug that initially showed up on the claimant's drug screen was a medication he was prescribed. Additionally, the drug screen ultimately came back with a negative result. Though the claimant initially told the employer that he may have taken his wife's medication instead of his own, he clarified that this was just a misunderstanding about what showed up on the drug screen. Since the drug screen was ultimately negative, and since taking prescribed medication is not a policy violation, the claimant was not discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT. Claimant had good cause for missing AT1. No misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3509209, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision is not supportable. The evidence clearly shows that the claimant was a previous owner of the business who sold her company to new owners and did not continue working under the new ownership. Under section 207051, the claimant would have been subject to disqualification from benefits if that had been her last work prior to her initial claim. And so the employer's account should be protected from chargeback. In the alternative, if my fellow commissioners are not prepared to protect the employer's account at this point, we should hold a rehearing on the issue whether the claimant had the option of remaining with the company under new ownership.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant's separation resulted from the sale of the business. Therefore, the separation was not under disqualifying circumstances, and the employer's account is subject to charge. Affirm the AT, charge back.
No chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3521-366, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Claimant was fired for failing to meet job expectations, and in this case, that job expectation was to come into the office for a meeting. Per the claimant's fact-finding statement, he refused to go. This is contradictory to his testimony, where the claimant stated he did not refuse to attend. Since this inconsistency casts doubt on the claimant's credibility, and since the AT was in the best position to gauge the credibility of the testimony that was provided, we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
The AT decision is not supportable. The employer's response to the claim indicated that the claimant was fired for failing to meet performance expectations. The claimant testified that he was called into the office to have a meeting about his job performance, and that he was then discharged on his way to the office for the meeting. The claimant never refused to attend the meeting, and the employer failed to submit any specific evidence regarding the claimant's job performance issues. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback. In the alternative, I could agree to rehear this case to admit the claimant's text messages submitted with his appeal to the commission into evidence and clarify whether this was a discrepancy between his prior statements to the commission and his testimony offered at the hearing.
Which case number are we on?
3521366.
Yes, misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3544087, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the AT decision. First, I don't dispute the claimant had good cause for a non-appearance due to phone issues. Concerning job separation, the claimant was discharged for inappropriate behavior with very vulnerable special needs students. At first, the claimant denied all allegations of having pinched, pushed, or yelled at the children. However, the second hearing, the claimant admitted to having yelled at the children more than once. Inconsistencies in her statements rendered the claimant's denials unpersuasive. Thus, because the claimant admitted she engaged in inappropriate behavior with the children, she mismanaged her position of employment. We should modify the AT decision to claim that the claimant had good cause for non-appearance. So we're asking misconduct, reimbursement, employer not billed, sever adequate employer response.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant made a good faith effort to attend the hearing, and her spam blocker on her phone prevented her from receiving calls. The claimant presented credible and consistent testimony that this matter was outside of her control. Therefore, the claimant established good cause for missing the continuance for AT1. Regarding the job separation, the employer discharged the claimant based on allegations that she acted inappropriately while interacting with students in her classroom. The claimant provided credible firsthand testimony denying the employer's allegations of any wrongdoing or that she engaged in any aggressive behavior. The employer failed to provide firsthand testimony regarding the claimant's conduct and relied on hearsay testimony. Therefore, the employer failed to meet its burden of proving that the claimant was discharged for misconduct. Reverse the AT2 decision. Claimant established good cause for missing the continuance of AT1, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer, void adequate response.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer, set aside adequate response for them.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3552786, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant, a 24-year employee, was discharged by the employer for violating the employer's ethics policy by knowingly purchasing merchandise from the employer's store, which had been incorrectly priced. The employer failed to establish that the claimant knew that the merchandise was incorrectly priced, and the evidence established that when the coworker indicated to the claimant that she believed the merchandise was incorrectly priced, the claimant returned to the store and consulted with another employee to clarify the situation, and the other employee believed that the price to be correct. Additionally, when the claimant was told that the merchandise had been priced incorrectly, the claimant returned the merchandise. The claimant's actions were not intentional and did not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Claimant was fired for violating the employer's ethics policy. Claimant improperly checked out items after being told that the checkout price did not look correct. Claimant was again alerted of the apparent price discrepancy outside. Claimant only walked back into the building like nothing had occurred. After being notified twice about the issue, the claimant knew or should have known that the product was mispriced. As such, the claimant's actions constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 357-2105, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the AT decision. Through sworn testimony and numerous medical documents submitted to the commission, claimant specified that the final incident absence resulted from a scheduled medical appointment. Since final absence was a result of the claimant's medically verifiable illness, the commission should find the claimant qualified for benefits and the employer's account should be protected from chargeback. As such, we should modify the AT decision, no misconduct, chargeback, no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI.
The AT decision is not correct. The claimant was discharged for attendance issues that were a direct result of an injury sustained while working on the job. The claimant's injury required him to undergo a medical procedure along with physical therapy, and it also restricted the manner in which he could perform his job duties until he obtained a full medical release to return to work. The employer's allegations regarding the claimant's failure to submit medical documentations were not substantiated with any specific evidence, and the evidence established that the claimant properly kept his employer up to date with the treatment that he was receiving for his injury. Therefore, the claimant's discharge was for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
No misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 358-5553, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. The claimant was discharged for lack of professionalism during customer interaction. I acknowledge that the claimant found herself in a difficult situation when the customers she had to confront for eating food in the store without paying began to verbally attack her. However, Assistant General Manager, claimant should not have raised her voice, responded in kind, continued arguing in front of customers and staff, or followed the customers out of the store once they had paid. Because the claimant violated the employer's policy, which required the claimant to be courteous and respectful when interacting with customers, and her actions reflected poorly on the employer, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment. We should reverse the AT decision to misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision is correct. After the claimant questioned a customer about whether they had paid for the food that they were consuming in the store, the customer responded by shouting several derogatory and racial remarks at the complainant. The complainant then repeated that the customer had to pay for their food. The claimant denied making any disparaging comments to the customer or using profanity. The employer did not present any firsthand evidence to show that the claimant acted unprofessionally during the altercation, and the claimant had no prior warnings for any similar issues. Therefore, the employer has not established that the claimant committed misconduct connected with the work while dealing with a belligerent customer. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
No misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 358-5764, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision should be modified. The claimant resigned due to medically verified illnesses. Although the claimant's physician did not advise her to quit, she was advised to take a week off and then do a follow-up. After taking some time off, the claimant did not feel well enough to return to the job and therefore notified the employer that she had to resign due to her health issues. As such, the claimant's work separation was a direct result of her medically verified illnesses. And Section 207.045 specifically provides that no individual may be disqualified if the individual left work because of a medically verified illness. Therefore, we should modify the AT, valid claim, no voluntary leaving, no chargeback, MBI.
We should affirm the AT decision. Don't contest the validity of the claim issue. As a job separation, the claimant quit due to medical issues. However, a medical professional never advised the claimant to resign. Moreover, the employer has no record of the claimant requesting a medical leave of absence or a medical accommodation. As such, the claimant quit for personal reasons and without work-connected good cause. We should affirm the AT decision, valid claim, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Valid claim, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Short form to Senate.
Thank you, sir.
Case number 3588484, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was discharged for violating the employer's alcohol use policy. The claimant denied that he was under the influence of alcohol during his shift, and he performed his duties without incident. The employer failed to provide any evidence to establish that the claimant was intoxicated or that his work was impaired by the alcohol in violation of the employer's policy. Therefore, the employer has failed to establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Claimant was terminated for violation of the employer's drinking policy. While the claimant contends others had violated the employer's policy, that contention was unsupported by any corroborating evidence. As such, the claimant's action constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore affirm the AT decision of misconduct.
Misconduct.
Short form to Senate.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3588676, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was discharged due to an alleged unprofessional behavior and improper conduct during a non-working hours. However, though the claimant admitted to using profanity while discussing an issue with her personal phone bill with a customer service representative, the employer failed to establish that the claimant knew or should have known that her actions were work-related merely because she received a discount on her personal phone bill due to her employment. The claimant testified that she was frustrated regarding an issue with her phone bill and that her comments were not directed at anyone specifically. Therefore, the employer failed to establish that the claimant's action constituted misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, no misconduct, void chargeback.
We should affirm the AT decision. I understand the claimant is initially called in as a customer to discuss a billing question concerning a work-related benefit. However, at the point she'd identified herself as an employee and did so repeatedly, the claimant stopped being simply a frustrated customer. She was now acting as an employee and needed to conduct herself as such. When the claimant cursed during the interaction, she violated the employer's zero tolerance policy and mismanaged her position of employment. We should affirm the AT decision of misconduct, void the chargeback ruling.
Misconduct, void chargeback ruling.
Short form to Senate.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3591641, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not correct. The claimant was discharged for accruing 3 attendance points. The claimant's 3 attendance points were due to 2 days of illness, which were not excused because the claimant did not see a doctor until the 3rd day of his illness, and 1 incident in which the claimant missed work due to a court date. All 3 of these incidences were unavoidable and the claimant provided notice to the employer for each absence. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
We should affirm the AT decision. Claimant exceeded the allowable attendance points under the employer's policy for an employee in the 90-day evaluation period. As such, the claimant mismanaged his position of employment. We should affirm the AT decision of misconduct.
Misconduct.
And short form dissent.
Yes, sir. And that was the last case pulled for additional discussion on docket 13. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 13.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the main UI cases on docket 13.
I second the motion, except for those cases in which I am dissenting, as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 13.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases in which I am dissenting, is reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 13.
Motion passes with the exceptions, Madam.
Thank you. Moving to docket 14.
Case number 343-7397, Commissioner Esparza.
We're here for timeliness testimony.
The employer's appeal should be dismissed as late. The AT decision was mailed to the employer's address of record on 1/17/23, with an appeal deadline of 1/31/23. The employer did not file an appeal until nearly 6 months later on 6/21/23. The employer the employer raised no credible Guzman allegations, and therefore the appeal to the commission should be dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. Dismiss, late employer appeal.
Late commission appeal, the AT decision remains in full force and effect.
Full form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3492742, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the AT decision first concerning the AT2 good cause issue. Although the claimant timely received the hearing package, she failed to appear because she misread the hearing instructions. Since commission precedent has long held that misreading the hearing notice does not provide a party with good cause, claimant did not establish good cause for missing AT2. Second, I don't contest AT1 good cause issue concerning job separation. The claimant had received prior warnings for insubordination. She was terminated when she refused a direct order from her supervisor and demanded that the supervisor perform the task instead. Since the claimant refused the employer's request, her actions constituted misconduct connected with work. As such, we should find that the claimant did not establish good cause for missing AT2 hearing. The claimant established good cause for missing AT1, valid claim, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response. In the alternative, even if a commission finds good cause for both hearings, the claimant should be disqualified from benefits. At AT3, the claimant's testimony failed to refute, but instead corroborated the employer's finding that the claimant refused to perform a work-related task. As such, we should find that the claimant established good cause for missing the AT2 and AT1 hearings, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate sever adequate employer response.
The decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant had good cause for missing AT1 and AT2, as she made good faith efforts to participate in both hearings. Regarding the work separation, the employer discharged the claimant for alleged insubordination. The claimant's supervisor requested that the claimant call an elevator repair company. The claimant looked up the contact information and suggested that the supervisor make the call, as it would be faster because the claimant was busy with other tasks. The claimant did not refuse to make the call and had no warning that her suggesting it would be faster if the supervisor made the call and would result in her discharge. Therefore, the claimant's actions were not misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT. Claimant had good cause for AT1 and AT2. Valid initial claim, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Claimant established good cause for AT2 and AT1, valid claim, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3509568, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not correct. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT1 hearing due to an urgent family matter that was beyond the claimant's control near the time of the hearing. As for the separation, the claimant was discharged from her position for misappropriating company property. The claimant had no prior warnings and was unaware that her actions specifically violated the employer's policy. There is no evidence that the claimant's behavior was erroneous enough to justify terminating her employment. As such, the claimant was discharged, but not for any work conducted misconduct on her part. Reverse the AT. Claimant had good cause for missing AT1. No misconduct, chargeback.
The AT decision should be affirmed. I don't contest the good cause ruling, As to job separation, the claimant was terminated for giving away employer's product. The claimant testified that she did not pay for the product, nor did she have the authorization to give away the product to award employees. Moreover, the claimant provided a fact-finding statement that reveals she did not pay for the product she gave away during the final incident. The claimant contends that she was not afforded all the steps of the employer's disciplinary process. However, giving away company product without authorization and without paying for it is behavior that a reasonable person knows or should know would lead to discharge. As such, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment. Therefore, we should affirm the AT decision. Claimant had good cause for her non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3546927, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved her work for a gig economy employer in self-employment. As such, there was no separation from employment, and the continued claim that was dated December 10th of 2022 should be voided. Void the continued claim, set aside the AT decision, and set aside the job separation and overpayment determinations.
We should affirm the AT decision. Claimant stopped working as a driver due to fuel costs. Since this is a personal reason, claimant quit without work-connected good cause. We should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, overpayment of $4,039.
So inside the AT, void the continued claim, void the overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3549188, Commissioner Esparza.
Commission should rehear this case. Claimant was terminated when he drove the employer's company vehicle in excess of 90 miles an hour in violation of the employer's speeding policy. Although the claimant denied fault, the employer stated that the company maintained driver monitoring system recorded the vehicle's speed and captured still images of the claimant driving. Since reviewing the employer's additional evidence is critical to understand the nature of the job separation, we should rehear this case to obtain and question the parties regarding the additional information. Rehear, please.
The AT decision is not correct. The employer discharged the claimant for violating the employer's policy by driving a company vehicle 89 to 91 miles per hour for 2 minutes. The employer's policy, as testified by the employer, makes it a terminable offense to drive 85 to 89 miles per hour for 1 minute, or to drive over 90 miles per hour for any amount of time. The employer testified that their monitoring system clocks the vehicle speed and that the claimant was identified as a driver by management. The claimant denied under oath that he violated the policy and testified that his coworker, with whom he took turns driving the company vehicle, was driving on the day of the final incident. The employer provided no firsthand testimony to establish that it was the claimant who violated the employer's policy. Therefore, the employer failed to establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3554403, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision is fully supportable. The claimant was discharged after he missed work without proper notification to the employer. Parties agree that the claimant was absent due to a conflict with his new job. Since the AT was in the best position to assess the credibility of the parties, we should affirm the AT decision of misconduct.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant presented credible firsthand testimony that he was not scheduled to work on 1/14 of 23 and 1/15 of 23 because he had been placed on suspension. The employer was unable to provide the specific dates the claimant was suspended. The claimant was not scheduled to work again until 1/21 of 23. And he notified the manager that he would be late for his scheduled shift on that day. The claimant was removed from the schedule after 1/21 of 23, and he was not scheduled for any work after that date. Since the employer did not schedule the claimant for any additional shifts, the claimant was separated due to lack of work and not misconduct. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
Misconduct.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3562800, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be reversed. Claimant was suspended as a result of failing a random drug test. As such, reverse the AT decision of misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employee response. In the alternative, because the claimant eventually supplied documentation to the employer regarding his prescription, which triggered the positive drug test result, I could also agree that the claimant should continue to be qualified for benefits, but that the employer's account should be protected under a medical separation analysis. Modify the AT decision, no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI.
The decision is correct. The employer suspended the claimant for over a month after a positive random drug screening. The claimant was prescribed a medication that triggered the positive test result. Once the claimant was able to obtain medical documentation from his physician to verify his prescription, the claimant submitted this documentation to the employer. At that point, the employer reinstated the claimant. Since the claimant did not violate the employer's drug policy, as he was taking prescribed medication, the claimant did not commit misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
No misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3580264, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is incorrect. The claimant provided credible firsthand testimony that he did not engage in any subordinate behavior. The claimant denied the employer's allegations under oath that he refused to perform his job task, and the employer only presented secondhand hearsay evidence regarding the alleged incident. The claimant's firsthand testimony carries a greater evidentiary weight, and the employer failed to establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Claimant was terminated for insubordination and lack of communication. The claimant left work early without advising the employer he was leaving. As noted by the AT, the claimant was inconsistent with the reason he left work early. Accordingly, the employer's testimony should be given greater weight. Because the claimant left work without prior notice, he mismanaged his position of employment. We should therefore affirm the AT, misconduct, no chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3585062, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. Claimant was discharged for using profanity toward a resident in violation of the employer's policy. Employer's investigation substantiated the allegations, and the employer reported the incident to the state. While the claimant tried to minimize her actions, she admitted to yelling and using profanity during her interaction with the resident. Thus, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment, and we should reverse the AT decision of misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response. In the alternative, fellow commissioners are not convinced we could rehear this case. In its appeal to the commission, the employer submitted the state's finding of the incident, which substantiated abuse, in addition to multiple witness statements from the employer's investigation. As such, we could rehear this case for submission and review of this evidence.
The decision is correct. The employer discharged the claimant for alleged behavior that they determined violated their policies. The employer failed to present any firsthand testimony or specific details of the alleged behavior. The claimant has consistently denied the allegations of inappropriate behavior under oath. Therefore, the employer did not meet its burden of showing that the claimant engaged in the alleged misconduct. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback.
Do you have a vote on adequate response, sir?
Yes, there was adequate response.
Thank you, sir.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3601197, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The evidence established that the employer discharged the claimant after her ex-boyfriend broke down her door and cursed at her while she was on a call with the client while working from home. The claimant attempted to mute the call, and the customer did not complain regarding the incident. The claimant had no real way of controlling this incident, and the claimant did not have prior warnings for any such issues. Therefore, it was not established that the claimant engaged in any misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant was fired because one of her calls was pulled for review and it revealed the yelling of profanity. Claimant knew that she needed to maintain a private area free from distractions. Claimant failed to do so during the final incident. Because the claimant failed to manage her personal affairs in a way that would not interfere with her work, she mismanaged her position in employment. We should therefore affirm the AT decision of misconduct.
No misconduct.
Yes, sir. And that is the last case pulled for additional discussion on docket 14. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 14.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 14.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting, as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 14.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 14.
Brings us to the end of agenda items 1 through 8. We'll take a short recess.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is agenda item 9, final rule adoption 40 Tech Chapter 801. I thought you were going to get to do it.
I guess the startup music didn't start, so.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Cerna, for the record, my name is Dawn Cronin. Before you today, in your information booklet is the for consideration and adoption our final rules to Chapter 801, local workforce development boards, which adds the requirement that boards must have representation from child care representative or workforce as established in House Bill 1615 from the 88th legislative session. In an open meeting on December 19th of 2023, the Commission approved amendments to TWC's Chapter 801. The proposed rule amendments were published in the January 5th, 2024 issue of the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. We received one public comment in support of the rule. Staff reviewed and responded to the comment. However, no changes were made to the proposed rule. Today, staff recommends the adoption of the Chapter 801 rules as provided in your meeting materials. Additionally, staff requests the ability to make minor non-substantive changes to the document in order to comply with publication requirements of the Texas Register and the Office of the Secretary of State. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
No questions. Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the adoption of amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 801, Local Workforce Development Boards, as recommended today by staff.
Second.
Second, vote unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is agenda item 10, Lone Star Workforce of the Future Fund Program Parameters.
Good afternoon, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Trevino, Commissioner Esparza, and Mr. Serna. For the record, I'm Colin Bradley with the Outreach and Employer Initiatives Division. I did make a mistake in uploading the supporting materials for this item, so that is the list I just handed you with the correct number of occupations. But House Bill 1755, passed during the regular session of the 88th Texas Legislature, directs TWCs to establish and administer the Lone Star Workforce of the Future Fund program. Additionally, statute required TWC to establish an advisory board consisting of education and workforce stakeholders to assist the commission in administering the program. The advisory board met on March 6th, 2024 to discuss and recommend program parameters that could then be presented to the commission for final approval. The Lone Star Workforce of the Future Fund was allocated $2.5 million for fiscal year 2024. Statute requires the commission to adopt a list of high demand occupations in high growth career fields. Entities that receive funding under this chapter must facilitate the successful transition of at least 50% of training program participants from low-wage work or unemployment to a full-time, high-demand, and high-growth occupation offering a self-sufficient wage. The advisory board made the following recommendations for fiscal year 2024. The advisory board recommends the approval of a statewide high-growth, high-demand occupation list consisting of 266 occupations, which is what I just handed you. The advisory board also recommends the approval of a maximum award amount per grantee per funding cycle of $250,000 with an unlimited number of applications per grantee per funding cycle, so long as the total amount does not exceed $250,000. The advisory board lastly recommends the approval of a target cost per program participant of $7,500. Staff seeks the approval of program parameters as recommended by the Lone Star Workforce of the Future Fund Advisory Board. That concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
One question, Chairman.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Colin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the information in the discussion paper. One question that I have, as far as the recommendation for the approval of a target cost per program participant of $7,500, is that a limit, or as in an applicant may not go over the 7,500 mark, that it be considered, or is there an option?
There are options.
Okay.
where in a program, if we like it, we'll be reviewing each application that it could go over 7,500 depending on training costs and wraparound services. That's something that this program covers. So just depending, but 7,500 is a target cost to where we could accept a reasonable number of applications and train a reasonable number of individuals to be placed in high demand occupations. Okay.
It's been, yeah. So kind of a good faith effort to get it to 7,500. I think the bill had said that it may not exceed 15,000 per participant. And I think we're well to adopt that target cost of that. My only meaning here therefore is in some cases, the cost per training equipment may exceed 7,500 per person, depending on the job when it comes to
correct. And there is
more functional or more tech heavy industry.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate the agency, and I appreciate the divisions for making those recommendations.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
What was the advisory board's discussion on the $7,500 figure?
So our rationale behind the 7,500 is we met with some of our community college partners, and we reasonably estimated that many of the programs and training under this program could be trained with $7,500.
Great.
Just to add, again, the requirements of the program require a 40% match on the part of the applicant. So taking into account that additional 40%, the advisory board felt that that was the 7,500 target was well within a reasonable amount. And as a point of clarification, we did want to let the commission know that we had checked in with the bill author to confirm that the 7,500 again fell within the legislative intent, and then they confirmed it did.
Yeah, that's what Bill reads that. Right?
I am a little concerned though. I think I just heard Colin say that 7,500 is just a target and we could go over. I don't remember the advisory board making that recommendation. I'm just trying to clarify that point.
We would expect applications to come in at $7,500 or less for the state portion of the training. And while there are many eligible uses for the fund, some of the more expensive things we see, such as equipment, are not allowable under the program. So while the fund can be used for training and wraparound services, things like a high dollar piece of equipment would not be funded.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, none here.
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the fiscal year 2024 program parameters as recommended by the Lone Star Workforce for the Future Fund Advisory Board and described in the discussion paper presented today by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The motion carries.
Thank you.
This agenda item 11, RESEA plan submission.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Cerna, for the record, my name is Dawn Cronin. And before you today in your briefing books is the RESEA state plan update for program year 2024. The plan is due to DOL on Monday, April the 8th. As in prior years, they gave us about 3 weeks to pull the updates together. The plan update and budget narrative include a plan to spend carry forward balances from prior grant years, along with a supplemental allocation received for program year 23, $5.9 million, to support the expansion of the subsequent meeting pilot. Additionally, for 2023, TWC received an outcome award or outcome performance payment in the amount of $2.7 million for meeting and exceeding DOL performance standards for RESEA. Staff requests commission approval of the 2024 RESEA state plan and budget narrative. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions, sir.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the fiscal year 2024 reemployment services and eligibility assessment state plan for submission to the U.S. Department of Labor as recommended today by staff.
A second.
It's been moved to second. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So agenda item 12, modification for funding for CTE credentialing funding support.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mr. Cerna, for the record, my name is Dawn Cronin. Before you in your information booklets is the initiative for career technical and education training and credentialing. This is an initiative approved on September the 11th, 2023 to cover costs associated with exams, credentials, and licensing resulting from CTE coursework and costs associated with connecting job seekers to employment. The program was funded with a combination of statewide WIOA funds and TANF statewide funds. The use of the TANF funds limits the population that can be served under this initiative to low income only. The initiative was also approved as a distribution to boards, and staff believe that an application-based approach would prove more successful. Distributions can result in boards receiving funds that they have limited capacity to spend. The changes outlined in the discussion paper will enhance the program efficacy for both boards and CTE credential seekers. Staff recommends supporting the CTE credentialing initiative with $1.5 million in WIOA statewide, and further recommend that the program be awarded to boards on an application basis rather than a statewide distribution. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move we approve the modifications to the career and technical education credentialing funding and application parameters as recommended today by staff.
A second.
It's been moved second, vote unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 13, estimated unemployment trust fund balance.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Serna. For the record, Chris Nelson, Chief Financial Officer. This afternoon, you have a copy of the updated September 30th, 2024 projection for the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. Couple of the changes I'll go over. On reference 1.07, you'll see we are revising the estimated benefits paid up to just short of $3 billion. And then on 1.08, revising down the estimated trust fund balance at just under 1.6 billion. Biggest changes in the benefits paid, as we've seen increased benefits paid over the last several months, is continued claims and the average weekly benefit amount. Initial claims are relatively flat, but we've seen an increase in continued claims. That's still, and we're revising up the trust fund floor to 1.4 billion. So we're still projected to be above the floor by just short of 200 million. In the event at the very bottom on 3.05, projecting to have 354 million in the employment and ETIA account. And for your reminder, the way that works is on September 30th, if we're above the floor, we use the ETI account to fund the skills development program. If we're below the floor, we transfer the amount necessary from that account into the trust fund, and to the point it comes up above the floor or it exhausts that account. So even if we get below the floor, we still have projected another 350 million that we could move into the trust fund if we needed to. So that concludes my update. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments?
None here.
No questions.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Is there an executive director's report today?
There is, sir. I have three things. First off, your offices have been briefed on the PY 24-25 planning estimates. We intend to post those to the TWC website, and then we will be sharing those with the workforce development boards later this week. These are the estimates that they can begin to use to establish their activities for the near future. This is also a bit of a show and tell with some mixed emotions. Susanna Holt-Catrone has announced that she, after 25 years of state service, 19 of which have been with this agency, will be retiring at the end of this month. I was going to say April, but this is April. At the end of this month. The show and tell part is we do have a certificate and a flag for her. She's done an outstanding job. She's been our HR, when I started, she was our HR director. She's been the interim general counsel. She is currently the deputy general counsel. Les told me with a great deal of apprehension that she was going to be retiring, which leads me to worry about who's been doing all the real work in the office. But we'll find that out very soon.
I think that'll make itself known in May. So.
But I do want to acknowledge all of her great service to the state, but especially to TWC, and also express my personal appreciation for everything that she's done, including convincing me to start on the 31st of March, the end of a month, which I had never done. She called and was able to convince me to actually come to work on a Monday at the end of the month. So she's very, very persuasive in her understanding of what the executive team needed. So I appreciate that very much. With that, I commend Susanna. And commissioners, perhaps after this, we can get you all to.
Oh, I saw Julio lurking back there, so I knew there was going to be an opportunity for photographs.
The other thing is, and this is not an April Fool's joke. This is a serious matter. I also want to recognize another TWC employee at a different level, though, for 15 years of state service, and that would be our own chairman, Brian Daniel. Actually, the other part of the show and tell, in case you were wondering why I had my briefcase with me, was for his 15-year certificate, which I noticed.
Did I sign my own?
He signed your own certificate. Of course, I have one in my office for me that I signed my own certificate as well. So, but my congratulations to the chairman for his 15 years of service to the state, but especially for his service here at TWC beginning in August, I think, of 2019, early August, wasn't it, sir?
Something like that.
Just in time for COVID and everything else that we had to deal with, and it's been an interesting time getting through all that, but it's been a pleasure working with you to do that. Not that you're contemplating anything else. 15 years is not quite enough.
Keep giving me certificates.
We might even get you a better frame in the future. You know, you got to get to 20. So
well, 15 will sneak up on you. That's over a 30-year career, and you think it's just 2 years at a time, but it does add up after a little while. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. That was all I have to report.
All right, does anybody else have any other order of business coming before the commission?
I just want to say congratulations, Chairman.
Well,
15 years does fly by. And Susanna, thank you for everything you've done for me when I started, getting me through the policies and the ethics. There's no small feat. I know Les keeps hoping you're going to say April Fools, but I know that's not the case. But good luck with all your future endeavors and enjoy retirement.
Congrats, Susanna. I'll hardly second anything there. Yeah. Enjoy the pause.
Absolutely. Before we commence taking pictures, Mr. Stern, I do have one request. I would like for you to ask staff to do an evaluation of the Chapter 133 program. Evaluate it for its effectiveness and its efficiency, and bring back a discussion paper either confirming that it is effective and efficient as is, or recommending any changes which might increase its effectiveness or efficiency. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We'll do that.
All right. Anything else? Because we need to take pictures with Susan.
Yeah. Just real quick, I wanted to say thanks for everything. Michael Traeger, he's in the back. I know he's going to be leaving as well. And just wanted to wish him the best as well.
He thought he was going to fly under the radar.
Yeah, he did.
I'm glad you saw him.
Yeah.
Do we let him back in the building?
Michael's the only guy I know that we had a farewell party for him like
a long goodbye
a month ago, and he just keeps coming to work. Hopefully Suzanne will do the same thing.
Yeah.
Just months and months after the alleged departure, just keep showing up. That's what we like. All right. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move we adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved seconded to adjourn, and we're adjourned.